So just as a reminder, self-care is a very important aspect of wellness and prevention of burnout. And self-care is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of personal strength, commitment, and success. So we should always keep self-care in mind and really make an effort to really have those type of strategies. I like this quote. It says, "The most powerful relationship you will ever have is a relationship with yourself." So self-care helps you develop that relationship with yourself. Now, I've talked about developing the relationship with yourself in other videos focusing on emotional intelligence and self-awareness, so you can check that out as well. But also the topic for today with mindfulness and meditation and prayer and faith and spirituality, those are all ways to really develop a strong relationship with yourself as well. Okay, so there's different definitions of mindfulness. This particular definition defines it as paying attention in a particular way, meaning that you pay attention on purpose or deliberately. You pay attention to the present moment, and you are non-judgmental as you are really focusing and paying attention to what is going on around you. So I think this is a basic idea of mindfulness. There's many benefits of mindfulness. That includes developing a calm and accepting awareness of your thoughts and emotions, the ability to tolerate and manage negative emotions, and to not act impulsively. So there's many benefits to practicing mindfulness. Again, the definition is the ability to be purposefully and non-judgmentally attentive to your own experience, thoughts, and feelings. So it's really focusing on your own feelings and your own thoughts in a very purposeful and deliberate way, but importantly, being non-judgmental. So don't think of it as good or bad or positive or negative. Just think about the thoughts that you have, but again, don't focus on any type of judgment related to those thoughts. So it's really, again, being present, being in the now, and it really involves all five senses. So it's really being in the moment and noticing all five senses and what you are feeling through your five senses, right? What are you seeing? What are you hearing? What are you smelling? What are you tasting? What are you touching? So that's really important to allow you to be present and being in the now and really being mindful to what is happening. So for example, let's say you're sitting down to eat a meal. So you need to be mindful and practice mindfulness in just eating your meal, and that can allow you to really enjoy and relax and enjoy that meal then. And sometimes we don't do that, right? So really focus on the smell of that meal, right? We focus on the smell and the taste, right? So focus on the smell, and before you even taste it, right? Be in the present. So focus on the smell. Look at your meal, right? Look at the different colors, look at the different textures, right? Listen and try to hear, maybe it's still kind of sizzling or, making some sort of some sound or some sound in the background, just kind of being mindful of where you're at. And then tasting it, right? And then the texture and the touch on your tongue. So again, using all five senses to really get the full feeling of what you are doing at that moment in the now, in the present. And again, you can practice mindfulness with every meal and use all five senses to really kind of understand what you're doing at that moment and be in that moment then. So part of mindfulness is cherishing each day as if it is your last, cherishing each minute as if it is your last. So it's not just being present, but it's really cherishing that moment, cherishing that day. And then again, really appreciating and being grateful for what is happening at that moment then. And we know, again, many benefits of mindfulness. It can increase your ability to focus. It can help you relax. It can help you develop compassion and acceptance. Helps you be more productive. Helps you be grateful and show gratitude. And gives you peace of mind and happiness and joy. And also mindfulness and practicing mindfulness can reduce feelings of agitation or anxiety and fatigue and depression and burnout. So we know this from the literature that there's so many benefits of mindfulness that can help in your overall wellness and in prevention of burnout. So again, being present is part of mindfulness, and that requires practice, right? You have to really consciously, deliberately, and on purpose make that effort, and it requires practice. And again, mindfulness really promotes self-awareness. And again, in different videos, I've talked about emotional intelligence and developing self-awareness related to that. And mindfulness is not about being more or about doing more, but about being who you already are. So it's not about multitasking and doing more. And actually that's the opposite of mindfulness. So multitasking which we always try to do, is actually the opposite of mindfulness. We're always trying to do more, right? We're always trying to do multiple things at the same time, right? And that's actually that actually is not helpful in developing mindfulness. Then, so again, we don't want to do multitasking because that takes away from mindfulness because we're not focusing when we are multitasking. So be mindful of what you're doing, focus on what you're doing, right? And don't rush through what you are doing. Again, that goes against mindfulness as well. So take your time, right? And taking your time allows you to be more productive and efficient and effective, right? So don't multitask and focus and don't rush, right? And unfortunately, a lot of us don't practice mindfulness, and in fact, we're actually kind of mindless. For example, when we're driving to work and we're on the phone at the same time, before we know it, we're at work and we have no idea how we got there or how quickly it took to get there. We don't remember anything that might have happened on the way there, right? Because we're multitasking and we're kind of mindless, right? We do things kind of like automatically and without thinking, right? That's actually mindlessness, which is again the opposite of mindfulness. So again, we need to focus and be mindful. That's very important to our wellness. Then, and also we need to really learn to disconnect with technology. Right now, with our phones, we're always on our phones. We're checking our emails, we're checking our texts, and then we're multitasking. Right. So while we're driving, we're texting or checking our email or whatever. Right. So we're not focusing on what we're doing, and our phones are preventing us from practicing mindfulness. So we have to recognize that and think about that as well. The greatest gift we have to give is our time and attention. And the time to be attentive is always now, right? So always learn to give time and attention to whatever you are doing at that moment, right? And we need to give time and attention to others when we are interacting with them. But also we need to make sure we give time and attention to ourselves, right? That's part of self-care. That's part of mindfulness. It's part of meditation. That's part of resilience. So making sure we are giving time and attention to ourselves as well. So there's many different apps that are available for mindfulness. So these are some of the ones that I know people will tend to use. So you feel free to check these out, and these can help you practice mindfulness and develop the skill of mindfulness then.